After being found guilty on all counts in an international drug distribution case, notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman will be serving out the rest of his days in the United States' only federal Supermax prison, ADX Florence, or Administrative Maximum Prison in Florence, Colorado. In this video, we'll tell you about 7 reasons why El Chapo can't escape his current Supermax prison. Number 7. What is a Supermax prison? Supermax prisons are the highest level security prisons, designed to hold inmates that pose extreme security threats. Inmates have little to no time outside of their cells, very few activities and very little contact with other humans. Alcatraz is considered to be an early example of what would become the Supermax model. Number 6. ADX has a reputation of being escape-proof. El Chapo has escaped prison twice while being held by Mexican authorities in 2015 and 2001. But ADX is different. Nicknamed the Alcatraz of the Rockies, no one has escaped the facility, located in the high desert about 2 hours south of Denver, since it opened in 1994. Inmates are housed in soundproof 7 by 12 foot cells for 23 hours of the day in permanent lockdown, with no contact with other inmates. Staff members are carefully vetted and have little direct contact with inmates. Each cell contains a bunk, desk, stool, and shelf made of concrete, and a steel sink and toilet. Inmates can see outside of their cell through a single window that is 3 feet high and 4 inches wide, according to the New York Times. Most cells have televisions. The prison El Chapo is currently housed in, ADX Florence, is quite impossible to escape. The way that the prison is actually designed is so inmates cannot map an escape route. All windows, which are incredibly small, only view the sky with no view of external buildings. The inmate recreational area is concrete box, and only one inmate at a time is allowed to go for recreation and exercise. All other times, the inmates are in lockdown for 23 hours a day. There are hundreds of HD cameras viewing inmates 24/7, motion sensors, and behind it all, several 12-foot razor wire fences. To top it all off, the prison has a system of 1,400 remote-controlled doors with a panic button that locks every single door in the event of an escape or an inmate problem. So no, I don't think El Chapo will be seeing the outside of ADX Florence anytime soon. Number 5. ADX was born after the killing of 2 correctional officers. According to the Washington Post, ADX was conceived in the wake of the killing of 2 correctional officers on October 22, 1983, at the Marion Federal Prison in Illinois, what was at the time the toughest federal prison in the country. After their death, Marion was changed into an all-lockdown facility and serves as a test model for other Supermax lockdown facilities like Pelican Bay and, eventually, ADX. Regarded as the U.S.'s most secure prison, ADX Florence is patrolled by heavy armed guards and surrounded by gun towers. Number 4. Worse than death. Current C1 columnist Robert Hood, who served as ADX warden from 2002 to 2005, described life in ADX in stark terms to CNN. As soon as they come through the door, you see it in their faces. That's when it really hits you. You're looking at the beauty of the Rocky Mountains in the backdrop. When you get inside, that is the last time you'll ever see it. The Supermax is life after death. It's long-term. In my opinion, it's far much worse than death. This prison holds many high-profile inmates. A facility for the worst of the worst obviously holds a lot of criminals with household names. The Boston Marathon bomber, Zahar Sarnev, Unabomber Ted Krasinski, and shoe bomber Richard Reed all call ADX home. Number 3. Life in prison amid a pandemic. While on trial, Guzman slammed his conditions at the Metropolitan Correction Center, a federal prison in Manhattan, where he was incarcerated before being transferred to Colorado. "It's been torture, the most inhumane situation I have lived in my entire life," he said. "It has been physical, emotional, and mental torture." Guzman's legal team had filed requests for better prison conditions at the MCC, where he was kept in solitary confinement 23 hours a day. His attorney said that since he was brought to the U.S., he has spent more than 2 years without any access to fresh air or natural light, adding that he must sleep with the light on in his cell, conditions that attorneys say are psychologically scarring. Now Guzman's lawyers has brought up similar concerns regarding his confinement in Colorado, but argues conditions are worse there, especially amid the pandemic. Due to the pandemic, the Federal Bureau of Prisons has temporarily suspended all visits and internal inmate movements in order to prevent the spread of the virus inside their penitentiaries. This has impacted El Chapo, too, as he remains a prisoner in what has been called the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Because of the special administrative measures, SAMs, he is under, Guzman can only receive in-person visits from his attorneys and the young twin daughters he fathered with his wife. But this is the kind of fate that a man responsible for unspeakable violence and death deserves, Donovan said. What people never really grasp is the kind of evil that El Chapo really bestowed upon his own people and certainly on Americans through the drug trade, he said. Number 2. Will El Chapo escape prison again? For Guzman and his family, El Chapo's magical prison escapes appear to have come to an end. He's no longer in a Mexican prison where inmates, prison staff, and local authorities can help him escape. Furthermore, he's far removed from federal cartel members and his unlimited resources. If anyone ever had the wealth and resources to attempt an escape from ADX Florence, it certainly is El Chapo. Nevertheless, orchestrating an escape from this Supermax prison is something only accomplished in Hollywood movies. Despite Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador calling El Chapo's jail conditions inhumane, the ADX Florence prison is Guzman's last stop on his journey. Not only will Guzman not escape prison by the end of 2020, he will never escape prison again. Number 1. This jail is impossible to escape. Experts say Guzman seems the ideal candidate for the federal government's Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado, also known as ADX for Administrative Maximum. This facility is so secure, so remote, and so austere. El Chapo fits the bill perfectly, said Cameron Lindsay, a retired warden who ran 3 federal lockups, including the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. I'd be absolutely shocked if he's not sent to the ADX. Located outside an old mining town about 2 hours south of Denver, Supermax's hardened buildings house the nation's most violent offenders. Inmates' brief time outside their cells is spent in outdoor cages, which are not much larger than their cells. Prisoners are shackled with leg irons, handcuffs, and stomach chains when they leave their cells, and they pass hundreds of cameras while in transit. Most inmates at Supermax are given a television, but their only actual view of the outside world is a 4-inch window. The window's design prevents them from even determining where they are housed in the facility. Human interaction is minimal. Prisoners eat all meals in the solitude of their own cell, within feet of their toilets. The facility itself is guarded by razor wire fences, gun towers, heavily armed patrols, and attack dogs. If ever there were an escape-proof prison, it's the facility at Florence, said Burl Kane, the former longtime warden of the maximum security Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola. It's the prison of all prisons. Do let us know in the comments, what do you think? Will El Chapo escape prison again? Please subscribe to The Luxury World. Thanks for watching.